There's no 2000.
No. It's a good contract.
No, clashes. It looks so nice with you. Krishna Chaitanya. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Channa Ballabha Girivadathari Gopi Channa Ballabha Girivadathari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Channa Ballabha Girivadathari Gopi Channa Ballabha Girivadathari Yasoda Nandana Vajrajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vajrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Channa Ballabha Girivadathari Gopi Channa Ballabha Girivadathari Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasoda Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamuna Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivana Ashto Talasata Shri Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Charana Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBT Founder-Acharya save the whole world Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivana Ashto Talasata Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Ananda Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Hare Thakur Ki Premzika Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Hari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogovana Radha Kunigiri Govardhana Ki Braj Bhamisham Davadava Ki Navadip Mayapur Dhamma Ki Purushtam Chatra Jagalpuri Dhamma Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Kevi Ki Tulasi Maharani Ki Samaveta Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Oh, glorious somebodies. Oh, glorious somebodies. Oh, glorious somebodies. Oh, glorious, oh, glorious. Let us feel the Shri Gauranga, Shri Gauranga. Oh, glorious Srila Prabhupada Ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. What verse is on the board? 21. Vichitra Viryash Chagarajo Vichitra Viryash Chagarajo Vichitra Viryash Chavarajo Namna Chidrangado Hata Namna Chitrangado Hata Namno Chitrangado Hata Vachitya Virya Shavarajo Namna Chitrangada Hata Yasyam Parasharat Sakshad Yasham Parasharat Sakshad Yasham Parasharat Sakshad Arvatirno Hare Kala Avatirno Hare Kala Avatirno Hare Kala Yasham Parasharat Sakshad Avatirno Hare Kala Vichitra Viryascha Varajo Namna Chitrangada Hata Yasham Parasharat Sakshad Avatirno Hare Kala Vichitra Viryascha Varajo Namna Chitrangada Hata Yasham Parasharat Sakshad Avatino Hare Kala. Vaishnavis? So there's 3 more verses here. Veda Gupta Mari Krishna Yato Hamiram Adyagam Hitva Swa Shishan Paladin Bhagavan Badarayana Mayam Putraya Santaya Param Guyam Vidam Jagao Vichitra Viryo Togaha Kasiraja Sute Bharat Swayam Varadupanite Ambikam Balike Ubhe Tayo Ashakta Hidayo Grihito Yakshmanamrita Vichitra Virya, the son of Shantanu. Cha and Avaraja, the younger brother. Namna, by a Gandharva named Chitrangada. Chitrangada. Hata was killed. Yashyam in the womb of Satyavati. Previous to her marriage, Shantanu. Parasharat, by the semen of Parashara Muni. Sakshat, directly. Avitirna, incarnated. Hare, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kala, expansion. Veda Gupta, the protector of the Vedas. Muni, the great sage. Krishna, Krishna Dvaipayana. Yata, from whom? Aham, I. Shukadev Goswami. Idam, this. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Adyagam, studied thoroughly. Hitva, rejecting. Swasishan, his disciples. Paila Adin, headed by Paila. Bhagavan, the incarnation of the Lord. Badarayana, Vyasadeva. Mayam, unto me. Putraya, a son. Shantaya, who was truly controlled from sense gratification. Param, the supreme. Guyam, the most confidential. Idam, this Vedic literature. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Jagal, instructed. Vichityavirya, Vichityavirya. Ata, thereafter. Uvaha, married. Kasiraja Sute, the two daughters of Kasiraja. Balat, by force. Swayamvarat, from the arena of the Swayamvara. Upanite, being brought. Ambika, Ambalike, Ambika and Ambalika. Ubhe, both of them. Tayo, unto them. Ashakta, being too attached. Hridaya, his heart. Grihita, being contaminated. Yakshmana, tuberculosis. Mrita, he died. Translation. Chitrangada, of whom the Chitraviri was the younger brother, was killed by a Gandharva who was also named Chitrangada. Satyavati, before her marriage to Shantanu, gave birth to the master authority of the Vedas, Vyasadeva, known as Krishna Dvaipayana, who was begotten by Parashuram Muni. From Vyasadeva I, Shukadeva Goswami, was born, and from him I studied this great work of literature, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. The incarnation of Godhead Vyasadeva, rejecting his disciples headed by Pala, instructed Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to me because I was free from all material desires. After Ambika and Ambalika, the two daughters of Kasiraj, were taken away by force, Vichitravirya married them, but because he was too attached to these two wives, he had a heart attack and died of tuberculosis. Okay, no purport, but we can discuss a little bit of history here, and then we'll go on to the next one. So, this is talking about the descendants, or the, not descendants, but the forefathers of the Pandavas. So, it's mentioning Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. So, Shantanu had two wives. Shantanu was the king of the empire here. He had two wives. The first was Ganga, the heavenly river. She descended to the earth because one time Shantanu was out, hunting, enjoying the kingdom, etc. And then he saw this beautiful maiden. It was Ganga, and she was dressed in these amazing clothes, which were like just so fine and practically see-through, and he could see, partially see her body through the clothes, and he was very, very attracted to this beautiful woman, incredibly beautiful. And he just was out of his mind. He had to have this woman as his wife. So he met with her, and she agreed. And she said, I'll be your wife on one condition, is that, we'll have children, but whatever I do with the children, you shouldn't say anything. You should just accept whatever I say. And he said, okay, I'll agree to this. And so she had a number of children. I think it was 8 or 9. I think it was 8. And every time she gave birth to a child, she took it down to the Ganges River and threw the child into the river. He just didn't say anything. But the final child, he just had enough. He just couldn't deal with this. He said, oh, heartless woman, what are you doing? Why are you killing your children? And she gave him the child and said, okay, I told you, if you ever say anything about this, I'm leaving. And because actually it was many of these pastimes you'll hear, there's like a whole lot of backstories involved. So what had happened here was that Vishishta Muni had this cow, this Kamadhenu, and the Vasus were desirous of having this cow. And the one Vasu was Jal Vasu. He conspired with his brothers to steal this cow from Vashishta. And they stole the cow, and the cow was protesting. The cow didn't want to go, but Vashishta said, because she was calling out to Vashishta, please protect me. He said, Vashishta said to the cow, you can choose to do what you want to do. If you want to stay, go with them or stay with me, you can choose. And so she chose to stay with Vashishta, and she raised her tail up and pointed her tail, and sparks started to come from her tail, and all these warriors were coming out of her backside, and they actually attacked the Vasus and drove them away. But in the meantime, the Vasus were cursed that they'd have to, because of this offense, they'd have to take birth in the material world. I can't remember every detail of the story, but there was some, as is often the case with all these different curses, there was some kind of concession given. And they were cursed they had to take birth in the material world, which for them was just a horrible thing to have to take birth down here, even though it was many thousands of years ago during the more Vedic time. It was still for them considered very, very abominable to have to take birth down here. So just keep that in mind. This is not a nice place. And so they got this concession that they'd be born to Ganga, and because they pleased Ganga, then Ganga would throw them in the river, they'd die, and they'd come back to the heavenly realm straight away. So it was just spend a few months in the womb kind of thing, and then come back here straight away. But Jal Vasu, because of his offense, he would have to live a long life here. And so Jal Vasu took birth as Bhishma. And there's also other stories involved. I don't remember them all, but there's other stories involved there. Bhishma was a very, very great personality. And so he was born from Ganga. And initially his mother raised him in the heavenly planets. And then when he came of age, I think he was 15 years old, he came down and was raised by his father, Shantanu. And Shantanu was a doting father. He was very, very attached to Bhishma. And he raised him to be an ideal Kshatriya. But Shantanu, naturally, Kshatriya, very passionate person, felt the need for companionship. And so he was looking for another wife. And then one time he was out again in the forest. Because the kings actually, in some ways, were quite renounced. It's not like you see like the leaders of these days, they're always like living in luxury and immersed in material facilities and stuff. The kings of those days would actually spend a lot of time in the forest, practicing asceticism and things like that, and living a very simple life in hermitages in the forest. So Shantanu was no different. He would spend, we see with Pandu also the same thing. He would spend a lot of time in the forest, practicing a very, very simple life. And so Shantanu was in the forest, and he saw this beautiful girl, Satyavati. She had different names. Previously she was known as Kali, also as Matsyagandha. Interesting name. Because what had happened is some rishi, I can't remember which rishi it was, had seen this, it was a king actually, I can't remember which king it was. Anyway, I can't remember the detail of the story. But what had happened was some great personality had seen these beautiful parrots, and he was so enamored by the parrots he actually passed semen. And he captured the semen on a leaf, and he was having the semen. The idea was the semen was meant to be taken back to the kingdom to impregnate his queen, but in the course of the semen being transported, it fell into the river and was consumed by a fish. And when this fisherman, what's his name? Something Parana, something Parvana, I can't remember. He caught this fish and he cut the fish open, and inside were an effulgent boy and a girl. So this girl he named Kali or Satyavati. And she had a very, very strong. The boy went back to the kingdom and became the king. But the girl, she stayed with this king of the fishermen. And she had a very, very strong bodily odor. She smelled like a fish. And that's why she was called Matsyagandha, because she smelled like a fish. But she was extraordinarily beautiful. I mean, stunningly beautiful. And her father was the king of the fishermen, but also he, not only did he fish, but he also ran a ferry service, ferrying people across the river. And one day he was, Parasharama Muni came, and he wanted to go across the river. And the king of the fishermen, he was sitting there eating his lunch, and he just said to his daughter, just take the sage across the river, the Jamuna River. And you see sometimes in the flood, the Jamuna is quite wide. And so she agreed. She took Parasharara across the river. And as they were crossing the river, the time for the appearance of Shukadeva Goswami happened. And, not Shukadeva Goswami, Vedavyas. And so Parasharara presented his proposal to Satyavati. She was thinking he was overwhelmed with lusty desires. And you look in books like the Devi Bhagavat, this is what it tells you. But Parasharara is not an ordinary personality. He's a transcendentalist, so he wasn't overcome by lusty desires. He was driven by the desire to do his service, which was to bring Vyasadeva into the world. And so she reluctantly agreed. She felt very uncomfortable. She said, like, here in front, in this river, all these sages on the banks of the river, they're going to see it. They're going to see this. She said, don't worry, I'll take care of that. And where are we going to do it? And so he created this island in the middle of the river, in the middle of Jamuna, and this fog just moved in and just hid them from vision. And so then they got on the island, she conceived, and Vyasadeva was born immediately. There was no 9-month pregnancy or anything like that, and immediately he grew up into a youth. And she lost the fishy smell because of the contact with Parasharama Muni. This gives you an idea of the transcendental nature of Parasharama. She came into contact with him immediately, the fishy smell went away. And Vyasadeva at that point said to his mother, he was a youth, teenager, he said to his mother, he said, I'm leaving now, but I'll always be there for you. If you just think of me, if you have difficulty, you just think of me and I will come. And we see later in the pastimes here that Vyasadeva does come. And he's not so prominent in the Vedic discussion until later. And then so Vyasadeva was conceived, he left. Satyavati continued on the way, took Parasharara across the river, and he went on his way. Then what happened was Shantanu saw her and he wanted to marry her. But he didn't sort of share this with anyone. But what had happened, because he was out hunting and one of his advisors was with him, and he sort of saw what the exchange that took place between them, because they had some discussion. And so Bhishma, who at the time was known as, what was his name prior? Devabrata, that's right. Knew that something was going on. His father's mood was quite different. And he asked his father said, no, everything's okay. So then Bhishma consulted with the minister, and the minister revealed that actually he met with this girl, and actually what happened was Shantanu had asked the father, the Satyavati's father, and he said no, because the father wanted that his grandchildren would become the king, but Shantanu couldn't do that because Bhishma was the heir to the throne, and he didn't want to deprive him of that. And so then Bhishma, when he spoke to his father didn't say anything, so Bhishma asked the minister, and the minister explained what had happened, how Shantanu had met this girl, he'd gone and asked his father for a hand in marriage, and the father put a condition, and the condition was that the grandsons had to become the king. And the king said, Shantanu said, no, I can't do that. So the king said, you can't have my daughter. And so Bhishma, when he found out about this, he went to see this king of the fishermen, and he put his proposal to the king. And the king said, no, but I want that my grandchildren become the king of the world, because he was the emperor of the world, a very powerful position. And Bhishma said, or Devavrata at the time, he said, well, I'll renounce the kingdom. And then this king of the fishermen, who's quite intelligent, he said, well, but your children, they'll make a claim on the kingdom. And he said, then I'll renounce marriage. I'll take the vow of Brahmacharya. And which for a Kshatriya to take the vow of Brahmacharya was quite a powerful thing. So when he made that vow, then from the skies with this sort of vibration was said, Bhishma, your name will be Bhishma because you've taken such a terrible vow. Because it's, for a Kshatriya to take a vow of Brahmacharya was unheard of, because their business was to perpetuate the dynasty. Because these lines of the Kshatriyas were very, very powerful bloodlines. And it was all almost like, I guess, the precursor of genetic engineering, because what the boy's nature was like was very carefully chosen who he would marry, in order that they would bring good qualities into. Just like when they, when they pair horses and stuff like that, they look at the qualities of the mare, they look at the qualities of the stallion, and look at what type of foals they'll produce. Or when they do all these hybrid vegetables and flowers and things like that, they look for things that have certain qualities and pair them up so they produce certain quality produce. So the same was done with the Kshatriyas, and he was definitely bred. He came from Ganga and Shantanu. Shantanu was the emperor of the world, so he was a very, very powerful personality. And Ganga was a celestial maiden, one of the Devatas. So a very, very powerful personality. And so Bhishma was a very, very powerful person. And when you read the Mahabharata and you see his amazing achievements, you can see the bloodline, the potency of the bloodline, and how he was able to do so many things because of that birth. And yet he renounced that for the pleasure of his father. So his father became very, very indebted to him. And he was already, completely a doting father, but he became very indebted to him, and he actually gave him a benediction that you'll only die when you want to. And we see in the Battle of Kurukshetra how he was able to maintain his life, because he had an aspiration that I wanted to leave my body in front of Krishna. He wanted to see Krishna, and the last person he saw, he wanted to be Krishna. We see this in the first canto, the passing of Bhishma Dev, after he instructs Yudhisthira Maharaj in Dharma, because Bhishma was also understood to be the foremost authority on Dharma. And when it was decided that he was, when it was decided by Krishna that Yudhisthira would go to Kurukshetra, this is after the battle, because the battle went for 54 days, I think. No, 18 days, but 54 days after the battle, Bhishma left his body because he was waiting for the sun to move to the northern course. And it was decided by Krishna that he and the Pandavas would go there, and that Yudhisthira would hear from Bhishma, because he'd heard from Vyasa, he'd heard from Krishna. He just wasn't accepting that it was not, because he was convinced it was a sinful act that he committed by killing all these, millions upon millions of people, just so he could be the king. And, Krishna tried to convince him, actually, no, this is what I wanted. All these people had to be killed because they were sinful. But Yudhisthira couldn't accept that. So Krishna had made this arrangement that grandfather Bhishma, who was the foremost proponent on the law of Dharma, would speak to him. And then when Bhishma spoke to him, the word spread around the universe that Bhishma was going to be speaking about Dharma. So all the great personalities in the universe came there. And when Krishna and the Pandavas arrived there, they saw that all these great personalities were there waiting to hear Bhishma speak because he was such an authority on Dharma. And they knew that whatever he was going to say would be just nectar. And so he spoke for, actually I think he spoke for 54 days. And it went on for quite some time. I can't remember all the, not very good with detailed numbers and stuff like that, but he spoke for quite a long time on Dharma, and he spoke about so many different topics. Anyway, so that was very, very amazing. But then what happened was Shantanu married Satyavati. And Satyavati had 2 children, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. And then Chitrangada, I can't remember who he married, but he got into the, he was crowned king by Bhishma, because as we remember, Bhishma took this vow of brahmacharya. He wouldn't, so Bhishma, is it Bhishma? Yeah, I think Bhishma crowned him king. And he got into this fight with this, big false ego kind of thing. He came across this Gandharva who was also named Chitrangada. And Chitrangada was, you can't have the same name as me, you have to change your name. And so they had this, because Gandharvas are very, very powerful, and they're also generally known as great warriors. There's also one called Chitraratha that Arjuna, because before they had Domya as their guru, they were traveling through the forest at night, and they came upon this Kshatriya called Chitraratha, and he started to attack Arjuna, and Arjuna was such a warrior. It's just incredible. Such a warrior that he defeated this Chitraratha simply with a torch. Didn't use bows, arrows, anything like that. He just defeated him with a torch, and he set fire to his chariot. And the Kshatriya was really demoralized by this. And he said, from now on I'll be known as Dugdaratha, not Chitraratha, because Dugda means his chariot had been burnt. He was very disturbed by that. But anyway, so Chitrangada, he fought with this Gandharva for 3 years. The battle went on, as explained in the scriptures. It must be an incredible battle going on for 3 years. But finally he was defeated and killed. And it just goes to show it's not worth being attached to your name. It's only a name after all. And then so what happened then was Bhishma enthroned Vichitravirya. And initially there was Ambika, Ambalika, and Amba were the 3 girls. But Amba had given her heart to, was it Jarasandha? I can't remember, someone else. Amba had given who actually fought, because when Vichitravirya was of marriageable age, then there was a Swayamvara being conducted, and Bhishma went to this Swayamvara because Vichitravirya was quite young. He was a teenager at the time, which is just being a teenager also. I was reading a history the other day. In the days, the glory days of Jerusalem, there was a king named Baldwin IV, and quite an extraordinary personality. He was 16 years old when he was the king, and he had really, really advanced leprosy. So much so that his face was disfigured. He used to wear a silver mask on his face, and he fought against Salahuddin. Salahuddin was the emperor of the Muslims, and it's like he had 500 knights, and Salahuddin had 26,000, and he defeated him. 16 years old, so age is no disqualification. It's quite extraordinary. But anyhow, so Bhishma went to this Swayamvara, and these 3 girls were being put up for marriage, and so it's described how Bhishma came in the Mahabharata. It's described how Bhishma, he swooped in like a lion, stealing the booty from the jackals, and just took these 3 girls on his chariot and just rode off. And they're all like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, hundreds and hundreds of Kshatriyas have assembled to try and capture these beautiful women as their wives. And so it took them a while to sort of collect themselves, and they got their weapons and stuff, and they started to chase after Bhishma. And so, these girls are on his chariot, and he starts fighting and just like warding off all their weapons. And the Kshatriyas in those days, when people fired arrows at them, they were able to mid-air destroy their missiles. Like they'd be firing darts and javelins and spears and arrows and stuff, and they just destroy them all in mid-air, so they couldn't even reach them. And Bhishma was such an expert warrior that not one single arrow reached the chariot. And then finally what happened was they all gave up. They thought, no, this is, no hope here, he's too good. And so they all started to go away. And this one warrior who Amba had given her heart to, he then decided to attack Bhishma. And there's a tape by Sri Dhananda Maharaj, because he did these early translations of the early part of the Mahabharata. He didn't finish it because he said he couldn't find an actual accurate version of the Mahabharata or a complete version of the Mahabharata. And so it's described that when this one warrior, whose name escapes me, and I think it may have been Jarasandha, or one of the Jarasandha Shishupala, I can't remember. When he decided to, attack Bhishma, then he started calling out all these nasty names to Bhishma. Bhishma was ignoring him, at first. Then he started calling out all these nasty names to Bhishma, and just called him a coward and stuff like that. And Bhishma, okay, I'm not, So he turned back around to face this warrior. And then all the other warriors saw that this was about to happen, so they stopped and they came back to watch, because they thought this is going to be the fight of the century kind of thing. And so then Bhishma fought with this man, and he just completely demoralized, he just completely smashed all his weapons, smashed his chariot, and then he sort of went home with his tail between his legs. And all his friends, because he wanted to commit suicide because he was so defeated, because a Kshatriya should either die on the battlefield or win. But his friends convinced him, no, you should go home and regroup and then attack again. And when they got back, when Bhishma finally got back to the kingdom, Hastinapur, Amba said to him that, like, I can't marry your brother because I've given my heart to this man. So he let Amba go. She went back to her beloved, and he rejected her. No, but you were taken by another man. How can I take you? So then she went back to Bhishma and said, you have to marry me. He said, no, I've taken a vow of brahmacharya. I can't do that. And so then she performed tapasya, because she wanted to fight with Bhishma, but she couldn't do it as a woman. And so she performed tapasya to become Shikandi. And the Shikandi is the person who was, because this is the trick of Krishna, because Arjuna actually killed Krishna. He was the one who fired because he was just pouring arrows into Bhishma. And Shikandi was between Arjuna and Bhishma, so Bhishma wouldn't shoot any arrows because Shikandi was there. So he wouldn't fight. And then, then Bhishma, he got these two girls, Ambika and Ambalika, married to Vichitravirya. Vichitravirya became completely infatuated with these women, and he just was engaged in just trying to enjoy his senses. As a result, he got, sometimes it's translated as consumption, sometimes it's tuberculosis, but the idea is he was so much absorbed in enjoying his body, which we see. I mean, you look at some of these rock stars, and actors and people like that, they come from pretty basic backgrounds, and they get so much wealth because they have some small material facility that they just become completely absorbed in enjoying the senses through intoxication, illicit sex, food, etc. And the body can't cope with it. The body cannot just, deal with, just day after day after day after day of taking intoxication. The body's not meant to do that. And as a result, they die. And you look at the fame of being a rock star is just littered with so many casualties of these people who have become famous and have had lots and lots of money and just died as a result of their indulgences. So this similar thing happened to Vichitravira. He became infatuated by these women, and obviously he was taking intoxicants as well. And he left his body. He had a heart attack, as it's described here. He left his body. And so then the kingdom was without any leader. There's no heir. Bhishma was there to lead, but he'd taken a vow of brahmacharya because Satyavati, the grandmother, she said, his mother-in-law, she said, no, you have to marry these girls. You have to impregnate these girls. And then he said, no, I've taken a vow of brahmacharya. I promised, in front of your father, I said I would take a vow of brahmacharya. I can't do this. And then so they were thinking of how to perpetuate the kingdom. And so Bhishma mentioned how, in days of yore, great sages had sometimes impregnated queens. And then she remembered her son, Vyasadeva, and mentioned his name. And Bhishma immediately offered pranams when he heard the name Vyasa, because Vyasa is the great sage. And just thinking of Vyasa, he appeared there. And so she explained to Vyasa what was the situation. And Vyasa said, okay, they can fast for a year and perform tapasya and things like this, and then I'll come in and I'll impregnate them. And then what happened was Satyavati said, no, there's no time for that. We have to do it now. And then so he said, okay, well then they'll have to tolerate my swarthy appearance, because he was, he wasn't looking after his body so well. I mean, he's bathing and things like that, but he wasn't at least externally attractive. And so then, I can't remember which girl was first. I think it might have been Amba was first. Then when Vyasa came to impregnate her, she was so frightened of his appearance that she kept her eyes closed the whole time. And so after this had happened, Vyasa said to Satyavati, yes, a very powerful king will be born from this girl, but because she kept her eyes closed, then the child will be blind. And then next, she said, well, this is no good. He can't be the king. We need to do it again. And so then what happened was he came again and impregnated. Ambika was first, and Ambalika was second, because Amba was the one that went back. And then she came next, and then Ambalika, she kept her eyes open, but because of Vyasa's appearance, she went pale white because she was so scared of him. So then what happened was, after Vyasa had impregnated the girl, he explained to Satyavati that everything went okay. He'll have a great powerful child. He'll be a great king, but because she was so frightened and pale, then he'll be the Pandu, the pale one, will be the child. Yeah? And then so Satyavati asked for one more time, and again Ambalika, but Ambalika was so scared that she actually asked her maidservant to do the task. And the maidservant she was so honored to be impregnated by Vyasa. She served him nicely, bathed his feet, gave a nice meal for him. And so Vyasadeva was very satisfied and impregnated her. And as a result, Vidura was born. And as we know, Vidura is a great personality and very, very advanced in the spiritual process. So we see, this is just a brief synopsis of the the Pandu dynasty, and this is what's being explained here, just in this one verse. And so that those are the two daughters, Vichitravirya, yeah. Okay, any questions, comments? Not much philosophy in that, but it's interesting. There's a lot more to the story, but you can only say so much in that amount of time. If you want to learn more, read Mahabharata. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hare Gaur, Hare. So tomorrow 25. Hare Krishna. I forgot. It's really good how they do e-books now. You buy this and you get an e-book as well.
Yeah, it's included.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think I'll do the same when I publish the method of worship. Just put this on the back so devotees can download an e-version of it. Hey Pete.
Hi.
How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. You all right? Yeah, 'cause a lot of people, they want to be able to read on their phone.
Yeah. It's handy.
I mean, I much prefer a book, but when you're traveling and moving around, you can't really.
Yeah, you can carry it around. These are big books.
Yes, it's very handy.
Yeah. Thank you.
When do I give a class next?
When are you going next? I don't know, like, you rostered. You were rostered for tomorrow.
Yeah? Oh, I guess I'll give a class tomorrow then.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's working out. Today was supposed to be Madhu Manjari Mataji. Yeah, but then she mentioned you were giving, so I don't know if this is swap or.
No, I was given a whole list of days.
Okay, so then you're giving tomorrow,
Okay.
Friday, and Sunday.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sarangam Kandar Ako Ikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Jami Andani Yasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Jami 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 Govindam Adi
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanshan Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Svam Sajivam Shadvaitam Savadhutam padam sagana lalita Shri Vishakhanitanstam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihara